Hey, happy Monday, everybody. It's 12 o'clock noon in the East. I'm Adam Grubb, and this is Stick and Hack Reacts with our co-host, Keith Stewart. Keith, welcome in.
Hey, great to see you on this fabulous Monday afternoon there, Adam.
Keith Stewart from the Pro Show on ESPN Radio in New York and now on Stick and Hack Reacts. Keith, reaction number one of the weekend, without a question, without a doubt. We have a new name hitting hitting some hacks' minds, which is Matt Jones. Matt Jones shot a 61 over the week, or actually, I guess at the end of the week, last week, to open up the Honda Classic, which, by the way, is one of the longest running sponsored events, the Honda Classic. Did you know that little fact? It is.
No, but we love our sponsors.
What's that?
We love our sponsors, so I think that's fantastic.
They're not a sponsor of Stick and Hack Reacts, unfortunately, but they are a sponsor of the Honda Classic for 50 years, one of the longest-running single-sponsored events. Matt Jones, the ultimate winner, and he fired a 61 on Thursday. Keith, your reaction to Matt Jones's weekend at the Honda Classic?
I love it. I love the fact that he, went out real quick like a rabbit, and he maintained that lead off and on throughout the weekend, and he closed the deal on Sunday. Love it.
I love it. I love the fact that he's a second win on tour. I love that he looks like just an everyday golfer. He didn't look like someone that we would typically see at the leaderboard, but he came out firing on Thursday. I only have one frustration with Matt, is that after a 61 on Thursday, he was asked about it, and his quote was, "Well, that's what I'm supposed to do. I'm a professional golfer. I'm supposed to shoot that." He was excited, but he wasn't excited. He shot a 61. And for me, I'm like, it felt a little bougie for me. I wanted him to be like, "Holy cow, look what I just did. Look what just happened." That doesn't bother you?
It really doesn't. It's just kind of, it's a valuable lesson, and it's a glimpse into their world. This is how good those guys really are. I mean, you're at your local club, your local muni, your private course, you have your club champion, and, he or she sticks the chest out, and they're like, "Hey, I'm a scratch golfer," and they're super proud. These tour players are +5, +6 handicaps. They are 6 shots to the good when they play your average golf course. They have course records to their name. I mean, it's just a different stratosphere of the type of golf that they play versus what we are conditioned to seeing at our home course. So you have to appreciate the fact that every once in a while, they go super deep, and to shoot 61 in a course record, and then they ask him the question, they say, "Hey, Matt, how many course records do you have?" He says, "I actually really don't know." I mean, I bet you there are times he's played golf and didn't know he shot the course record, and then he left the golf course and wasn't even aware of it, and someone's searching for the scorecard, and he was playing with his buddies Adam and Mike, from Stick and Hack. I mean, those types of things happen all the time. So I think it's just a great glimpse into their world and actually how great those guys and the men and women of the LPGA and the PGA Tour just are.
All right. Reaction number two, story over the weekend, or I guess middle of last week. Beth Ann Nichols, a writer, she had the LPGA course, kind of like a course redo. Her point was, hey, we need to make these courses set up for better scoring for the LPGA Tour. And the golf reaction was mixed at best. There was a lot of, not controversy, but concern that what she was saying was, and you, I don't know if it was some of that old school golf mentality coming into play, if it was what it was, but she got a little bit of a flack for her take on making the courses setups for the LPGA not easier, but just a little bit more ripe for better scoring in that event. Your reaction to that?
I love it. Love Beth Ann Nichols. Great writer. And I think she brings up an important point. And I throw this back to you, Adam. Don't you like to watch golf tournaments where, there's a lot of volatility in scoring, where there's the ability to make eagles and birdies?
I do. I absolutely do.
Okay, so her point is this. This isn't someone who just started out on the LPGA Tour. She's been a beat writer for them for about 15 years. And she has a lot of player support in her argument for this article. So, it begs the question, we have to pay attention to this. She has a valid point. You start to talk about the men play golf courses at an average of 7,300 yards. So if you compare the different distances the men and women hit it, their courses should be about 6,000 yards, yet they play at 6,400. That's a big difference. We're about 17 days out from the Masters. And what does everyone love at the Masters. They love those back nine par fives where they're risk reward and people can make eagles. Well, they just don't make very many eagles on the LPGA Tour. And that was her point, and that's exciting. In the same weekend where Bryson's driving it on par fives to 80 yards and the whole world is erupting, the golf world is standing on edge. They were playing in Golden Ocala in Florida, maybe an hour and a half drive away, and nobody's hitting par fives in two. So I think the excitement level is something we need to pay attention to, and I give Beth all the credit in the world for bringing it up and taking on this argument. So I love it.
So she took a stance that was semi-controversial because of the way that it could be construed that, hey, make courses easier for women. That's not what she's saying. What she's saying is set up the courses so that these amazing women golfers have the same type of ability to score and bring you exciting golf week in and weekend out. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yes. I think people are digging in a little too deeply here, and they're not really looking at the big picture. And that is that, do you know how far they set up the PGA Tour? The average fan doesn't pay attention to that length. They pay attention to the scoring.
Is that a question to me? No, I
yeah, well, of course. Yeah, but you do pay attention to if on the back nine someone shot 32 to win the tournament. That's exciting to you, correct?
It is. Absolutely.
Okay. So I have to believe that if the LPGA just quietly were to change things and the scores were then to come out differently, that would make a big difference, and that leads to more exciting tournaments, better sponsorships, more televised rounds, and that's one of their big goals is to get on national TV. And hopefully that they'll pay attention to this and they'll try it. And they a couple weeks they have their first major of the year, the A&A Inspiration. The last hole is a par 5. Folks, make it so that the ladies can reach it in 2. It's an island green. It would be so much fun, especially on Sunday. Do it. Follow Beth Ann Nichols. Do it.
Number 3, Brooks's knee. Your reaction. For those of you who don't know, Brooks was kind of out of the public eye for weeks. He wasn't in any tournaments. He didn't really have anything to say. People were asking, but they weren't. And then all of a sudden, like in the middle of the night, he released a statement that said, like, "Hey, I'm having here's a picture of my knee that's just been reconstructed." Brooks is undergoing surgery on his knee. Masters in question. Rest of the season perhaps in question, depending on the severity of the injury and or of the surgery and his rehabilitation. Your reaction to Brooks coming out and not potentially playing the rest of the year?
At the risk of being cliche, just Brooks being Brooks. It's kind of like, how do you feel about, a 4-time major winner's announcement just coming out in the middle of the night after we haven't seen him for 2 or 3 weeks?
I find it, especially on a weekend where the Honda Classic, which is a great tournament, but there wasn't a lot of eyes on the golf world this weekend after the Players Championship. I feel like it was like, oh, by the way, I'm having surgery. You're Brooks Koepka. You're one of the top golfers in the world. People are rooting for you and wanting you on the majors. They want to watch you play. You're part of the PGA brand right now. I felt that it probably needed a little bit more love and like, hey, here's what's happening. And I blame that a little bit on the golf media, because when Brooks is out of the eyesight, he's truly out of everyone's eyesight.
I couldn't agree with you more, and I'm so happy you put it that way, because I totally become an average fan in this sense, in that, this guy moves the needle. People are interested in him, and if he acts nonchalant about the fact that he has a dislocated right kneecap and some ligament damage, maybe we don't need to pay as much attention to him as we should. And quite honestly, a month and a half ago, he won the Waste Management Phoenix Open. So we have to pay attention to him. Right. But it's just an interesting case of, Brooks just being Brooks. And another thing that begs the question, this is basically the 3rd year out of 4 that Brooks is battling with injuries. Is he working out like in a Tiger Woods sense? Is he out there with the Navy SEALs going crazy? What's he doing? It was the wrist injury, missed the Masters 3 years ago. Then, the last year and a half, he was battling that left knee and the left hip. He's getting stretched out at Harding Park. And then now it's the right knee. What's going on with this guy? He likes to open up and be really transparent in the press room. Let's get him transparent in the OR room, and let's see what's going on with this guy.
I agree 100%. Keith, a bonus reaction here. Back to our boy Matt Jones. who won this weekend. He is one of the quickest golfers on tour, and that is scientifically proven. Under 4.7 seconds from setup to trigger of his shot. And the caption read over the weekend, isn't this the guy you want to be playing golf with? It is for me. There's nothing I love more than somebody who gets up, sees the target, and hits. Now, they didn't time everything ahead of time, before his shot, but once he sets in, within 4.7 seconds, under 5 seconds, Matt is hitting his shot. And they did just a little bit of a montage of his shots. Even in tough situations, he was up against a tree, and he still was like, okay, I'll pop up here and hit it. Do you like his speed of play, or would you rather him be a little bit more slow to trigger?
No, I don't need him to be any more deliberate. So I love his speed of play. Definitely a huge thumbs up on that reacts. And just as a side note, Matt's brother Brett is here in the New Jersey PGA section, and I've competed against him. And if you play with Brett in tournaments, which I've had, you have to pay attention because he plays faster than Matt.
Yeah.
So I have to praise both of them for their quick play in tournaments. And they're both, I've been giving Brett money for years, and a lot of us have here in New Jersey. He is just a fantastic player. And to think that he's not the best player in his family, and certainly not this week. So kudos to the Jones boys for getting it done, not only in a successful fashion, but getting it done in a rapid fire sense. I love it. Fast play is great.
Keith Stewart from the Pro Show on ESPN Radio in New York, and co-host here of Stick and Hack Reacts. Keith, thank you so much for your time this week. Enjoy the week. We'll see you next Monday at noon here for Stick and Hack Reacts.
Have a great lunch, everybody.